After the past 2 years of people complaining about the M16A3 in Battlefield 3, DICE has decided to take the gun completely out of Battlefield 4. Hey there broskies, it's Lupus, and today I want to talk to you guys about the M16A3 and what exactly went down to make this gun be taken out, and what are my opinions on it. So to start off with, there were people continuously asking Alan Kurtz questions about the M16A3 because whenever people went back and ended up playing the game some more, such as Level Cap and all those guys who were able to play it in LA, they realized there was no M16A3. Well, while there was an M16A3, it was burst fire only, so it wasn't actually an A3, it was actually an A4, and they had it titled wrong. So what DICE ended up saying was that it was a glitch in the game and that the gun was never in the game and that it was just always named incorrectly. But that's not true. They just pulled it out. It was originally there. I'm going to actually play a little clip in the background. If you notice, he is using an M16A3, and in the bottom corner where it tells the amount of rounds that he has in the magazine and stuff like that, it also says auto. So the gun is in full auto. It is not in burst, and so that is clearly telling you that the A3 was originally in Battlefield 4 during the Gamescom event, and they decided to take it out because people complain about it, and DICE didn't want to change up the gun because DICE likes to keep their guns accurate to how the guns are in real life. And in real life, the M16 is a low recoil weapon with high damage, and you know, it's not very difficult to reload as well, which is why it has a faster reload speed. And they just decided to take it out completely, and I can understand that. That's fine with me, but to be honest, it was not overpowered. For all you guys out there who say the gun was overpowered, it wasn't. And I know you guys will disagree with me to your graves that it had high damage, low fast reload speed, and all that stuff, low recoil. And while that is true, it's not necessarily overpowered. There's only one gun within Battlefield 3 that I would actually consider to be overpowered, and that is the UMP-45, because it puts you down in 3 shots, and it has virtually no recoil at all. And the reason why I don't think the M16A3 was overpowered is just because it's not an overpowered gun, it's a try-hard gun. It's like one of those guns that anybody can use and go try-hard with. It doesn't mean that it's overpowered, it's easy to beat. If I'm using an AUG, I can beat the M16. If I'm using an AK-74M, I can beat the M16. If I'm using an F2000, I can beat the M16. If I'm using any other gun, virtually, I can beat the M16. It's not like something that when you get in a gunfight with it, you're going to lose. It just has that low recoil, that high damage, which helps it at most ranges, and it's not necessarily overpowered from my experiences. I've never raged about the M16A3. Sure, a couple times every once in a while I'll be like, oh my gosh, that noob is using an M16A3. That doesn't mean that I'm mad about it. It just means that it's a try-hard weapon. It's not like it's a overpowered weapon in my eyes. And as I said a second ago, the UMP-45 is the only gun in my eyes that was truly overpowered. And DICE didn't decide to take that gun out of the game. Why would they take out the M16? So here's what I think they should have done. For those of you who don't know, they have inserted the UMP9 into the PDW category as well as the UMP45. And I don't understand why we need 2 UMPs. The only difference is going to be that the UMP9 is going to have a lot less damage as well as a higher capacity magazine. But it's not that big of a magazine. It's like 4 or 5 rounds more. So it's not going to make that dramatic of a difference, and nobody's going to use it just because it doesn't have the same kind of damage. So what they should have done is just taken the UMP-45 out completely, left the UMP-9 in there, and left the M16 because, to be honest, it's not overpowered. It's just a try-hard weapon, guys. That's really all it is. If you think about it, it's mostly a try-hard weapon. It has really good stats, but it's not the most overpowered weapon in the game. And it was a very powerful weapon, but that's an accurate depiction of the actual gun. And I really hope that this doesn't happen during Battlefield 4, where so many people end up complaining about the weapons, and we end up getting the Shorty 12 gauge, which is going to be a secondary. We're going to end up losing that, and they're going to end up nerfing that thing to the point where it's unusable. The intervention, people are going to end up complaining about that being so overpowered. We're going to end up having that nerfed to crap. And there's all these guns that I'm so excited to see brought into Battlefield 4 that are potentially going to just get taken out of the game because of all the complaints that they're going to receive from people who just suck at the game. Because to be honest, if you're good at Battlefield, you won't complain about the M16 as much because you don't care. Because you know that you can use any gun and have skill and beat that gun. But if you suck at the game, then sure, you're going to get mad at it because you don't know how to beat it. And that's how I feel about that subject. I know I went on a little rant there. That's just how I've always felt. I don't feel like guns should be like patched to the point where they can't be used. The USAS with frags was patched to the point where you can't use it at all, and it's just impossible to get kills. You'd have to get like 4 or 5 body shots on a person and has absolutely no splash damage. And I can see this ending up happening again in Battlefield 4 if people continue to complain. So moral of this story is, do not complain about it. But yeah, that's basically all I wanted to say today. But for all of you guys who do wonder, the M16A4 is going to be in the game. You're still going to have an M16, and if you pull the trigger fast enough, it's going to feel like a fully automatic M16. The only difference is the recoil is going to be a good bit different, because you're going to get that initial recoil every time you burst, which is the main difference between it and the M16A3, because after the initial recoil, the M16A3 settles down, but the burst fire mode just continues that immediate beginning recoil. And that's all for this video, guys. I hope you guys did like this video. If you did find it very informational, be sure to smack that like button. And if you want more great content, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.